Welcome to my loft, everybody. I'm Rusty Blackwood, and I would like to welcome you on this March 21st day, Ostara. It is the beginning of spring, and it looks like spring, and the birds are active, they're singing, and it's just, spring is definitely in the air, and so I wanted to come and do a short video. It's kind of a laid back day for me. I went this morning with my oldest granddaughter Carson and her two little boys Harrison and Carter. And Harrison is whom I always refer to as Ginger Snap, and he is just over 2.5 years old now. He will be 3 years old on October the 4th, and her youngest Carter, whom I always refer to as Carter T, because his second name is Thomas, and so I always call him Carter T, and he gets a kick out of that. He always kind of smiles and kind of giggles a little bit, and he is coming a year old on next month, April 17th, and so the year has really gone by quite quickly, and so oh, they are a joy. And as I say, I went with them this morning down to a local park here in St. Catharines. We have a number of lovely parks in this city, and some bigger than others. The one we went to this morning, we've been to a couple of times before, the JC Park, and it's going on. It's over sort of on the lake side of the city. The lake isn't very far from there, and it's one of the really nice park. It's very well kept, and very nice playground. Lots of activities in the playground for the children to take advantage of and have fun doing, and so that's where we were this morning, and so it's been kind of a laid back morning for me. Like I'm kind of like I'm wiped a little bit, because these little fellas, I'll tell you, they keep their mother hopping, and I think that's why she asked me to go along with her, because it gives her a break, and because it's 24/7 for her, and these little fellas are close together, and they're a handful, and they're active, and so Gigi, me, goes along to lend whatever help and support that I can, and I'm just trying to keep up. We had to climb a hill from where the parking lot is. You have to go up this bit of a grade that goes up quite steep. In other places it's a little bit more shallow, and of course Harrison, he has to pick the most steep area to go, like the high one, and so he's just motoring along there, and he's running, and he gets quite a ways ahead, and his mother and I are we're further back, and with the stroller, and Harry gets up there a ways. Of course, his mother's telling him, don't get too far ahead. And so he stops and he turns around and he says, "Run, Gigi! Come on and run!" I'm, I'm doing my best to run, and so, and of course, obviously, I'm not coming fast enough to suit him, and he's like, "Run, Gigi!" So I did the best I could, and as I say, like, now I'm just like, whoa, I'm out. But I'll tell you, as long as I can keep going, I'm going to do it, and I'm not going to miss out. And I remember my mother, just how she used to take part in everything that she possibly could with her great grandchildren, and with her own grandchildren, of course, but with her great grandchildren when they came along, she wasn't going to miss out. And you know, with cameras to take pictures of things, because I mean, at that age, they're not going to recall in their memories what happened or whatever, but the pictures capture it and show it, and it's just wonderful, and and I'm like that too. I'm not going to miss out if I have the opportunity to be there and enjoy them and build memories with them that can be captured in a photographic way, um, so that one day they can sit and look at it and see what we did and where we went, and that, you know, the laughter we had and things like that. So you know, I can always lay down, have a nap. But my granddaughter, poor Carson, you know, unless both of them are napping at the same time, it's a little difficult for her to lay down and have a nap. And so, and I remember, I can well remember what it was like for me when my children were little. Um, but for me, my two boys were the better part of 8 years apart. And so they weren't, I didn't have them like bang, bang, so to speak, so that they were both tiny at the same time. So I had, it was a little different for me. I had a little bit of a break there between my two. But I can remember, you know, they were both going concerns when they were little boys, and so, you know, it keeps mother hopping. It's, you just don't have all kinds of time for yourself, and you don't, you can't just, you know, you can't just go and lay down when the mood hits you, and you know, if you're tired and you want to have a nap or something, you can't. And so, because you mean you have to keep your eye on them, and make sure, you know, that everything is okay. Um, so and so, as I say, I'm very pleased to be able to go and help Carson whenever she needs me, and whenever it calls for that. And so, so anyway, so that's what I was doing this morning. And as I say, I got my first revision done and back now for the corrections and that to be implemented into the next go. And hopefully, you know, I went through it really, really intensely, and and I was actually surprised that I didn't find more. Um, I wouldn't, you know, some places there was no misspelling. It was just maybe um, a word missing. Um, if it was plural, was missing its S or its ES, something like it's little things like that. And I don't care how intensely you can comb through a manuscript that is submitted for a book that will become a book. Um, there's going to be issues, and I don't care whether it's edited up the yin yang. It's there's going you're going to find um, things that are um, not the way they should be or whatever. And I've read books from like the top 5 publishing houses, standard publishing houses, where there's mistakes. There's spelling mistakes, and there's, um, you know, you're not supposed to have a run-on sentence, and I have come across that. Um, you know, I've come across the wrong whether something is possessive or it is plural or whatever, and it's not done the way it's supposed to be done by rule of writing. And when I first started out writing, when I would come across things like that in my work, or had it pointed out to me, um, it bothered me because I figured, oh, you know, they don't like me, or things like this, or I'm gonna be judged. I was such a poor writer because there was a mistake in the text, and but the longer you write, the more you write, like one book after another, um, you keep hoping that each book is getting better. The stories are better, the presentation is better, um, but like whether it is or whether it isn't, um, it is. You got to come to terms with the fact that nothing is perfect, and it doesn't make any difference how you how many times you go through something, how many times another set of eyes can go through something. Um, an editor, proofreader, whatever, um, there's gonna be mistakes, and as long as you can keep it to a minimum, um, you got to learn to, you know, it's like throwing a bird to the wind and saying, "Here you go, fly or fall, one of the two," and because it's time consuming, and sometimes it can be extremely frustrating because you're giving into this the negativity that you shouldn't be giving into, and you just do the best you can, and if you know that you've given it the your best effort, then if somebody takes an issue with something down the road, if they're reading it and it doesn't suit them or whatever, that's their prerogative, of course. But the author should not feel inept in any way because it is what it is, and and you know, as they say, you do the best you can, and you release your book, and you put it out there, and you hope that that everybody that reads it is going to enjoy the story, and I think readers, of course, they're reading a book for um, maybe they like your work, and they look forward to each new piece you put out, and they're going to enjoy the story. Whereas if it is going for editorial review, they're looking at the technical side, and that's where it comes in. Like maybe this is not exactly perfect, or this could have been constructed better. Um, but I take to heart much more so, um, if a reader reads my work, uh, a reader, not an editor or for editorial reviews or anything like that, and the reader enjoys the story, and they kindly give a review. Um, to me, that carries much more weight than an editorial review does, because I write for the entertainment of my reader. I'm not writing for an English professor in an English class to get a grade. And so a reader's feedback and their opinions to me matters the most. And And once I settled myself down to that, um, and not let the technical aspects of it get to me so much, um, it was much, much better. And I think my work said that. And and I mean, when I read back what I've written, if I'm not getting whatever reaction from what I'm reading, the way I'm hoping my readers will get it, um, I've come to know what's good and what's not so good, and in time, when with writing, that's the way it becomes, and so you just have to trust your own instincts, and let them lead you, and so I mean, so that's what I do, and so I'm looking forward to um, Return to Autumn Part 2, which I'm planning to bring out next month, and in celebration of the upcoming Kentucky Derby, and which runs the first Saturday in May, like it does every year, and so that when it comes out, that when the next book comes out, that will complete this series, the Autumn series. When I wrote The Perils of Autumn, I wrote it as a single novel. It wasn't. I didn't plan it to be an ongoing story, where it became a trilogy, like it will end up being. Um, but when I got to the end of The Perils of Autumn, I mean, it could have ended where it does, but I had decided before I got to the end of it that I was going to write a follow up, and so therefore I didn't put any tie ups or anything to the story in the end of The Perils of Autumn, and of course some of the people that reviewed it, um, obviously, like I say right in the end of The Perils of Autumn, that it is going to be continued in Return to Autumn, and but I don't know if people sometimes don't understand what they read, or they don't bother to read anything after the story finishes in the book, if the author has written anything, and or what. But I had one reviewer say, well, they couldn't understand why there wasn't more about Duff Taylor, and because he is the nemesis of the story, and because I was going to be continuing the story, I didn't put any tie-ups for Duff at the end of The Perils of Autumn, and so it's too bad that this woman couldn't understand that, but it was right there for her to read, and that there's going to be a follow up to this novel, and but so there again, it is what it is, and so when I did Return to Autumn, I was going to do that one as one book, which would be like the follow up to The Perils of Autumn, picks up 4 years after the story leaves off in Perils of Autumn, and so Return to Autumn turned out to be a very large page count, and I didn't want to do another grand scale, so I decided that I would divide it, and there would be part one and part two, and as a two-part sequel to The Perils of Autumn. So it will end up, of course, being a trilogy of the Autumn series, a series of Autumn, I guess, and so and I'm sad in a lot of ways that that Return to Autumn Part 2 brings you to the end of the story that begins in The Perils of Autumn, and so when I was going through it in revision, I was teary eyed, and that because I'm hoping that that's the way readers will be affected when they get to the end of the story, because of what they're reading, and knowing that this is the end of this story. It's not going to be continued, and and I couldn't even really write a prelude to it, because the Perils of Autumn begins when Autumn is just a little girl, and so and it'll take you through to the end of Return to Autumn Part 2. Autumn is aging, and of course Cyril is very aged, and everybody is, of course, is normal life. You keep aging, and same with the horses. They all age, and so I'm not going to give things away. So hopefully you'll pick up a copy when it becomes available, and you will already have copies of these two, so that you will be able to know where you are in the autumn story. And so I think of all the things that I've written, I mean, I like everything that I have written, put my name on, of course, but the autumn story is my very favorite of all. I fell in love with Cyril Landon, even though he's a character from my imagination, as all my characters are. I mean, they may be based solely or in part on somebody that I know or I have known, or on 3 or 4 different people, their personalities, maybe they're made, the way they're made up, and things like this, the way they look, their hair color, whatever. But a lot comes right from my imagination, and that's where Cyril Landon came from, and as well as Autumn, and Duff, and William, and Manfred, and Abigail, but I just totally fell in love with Cyril Landon, and I oftentimes wish, if he were to exist, I would be so in love. I would want to meet him. I would love to live at Landon Manor, and take part in the activities of Landon Lawn Stables, and ride the beautiful horses that I write about, and oh, it would just be a dream come true, really and truly, and because I mean, I just adore horses, and riding, and just the pleasure, that the rapport between a human and a horse. I think they are one of the most, if not the most, intelligent animal. The way they understand, the rapport they have with their masters, and a horse will put their own life on the line for their master, and the same as, a parent would for their child, and I think it's just wonderful. The stories over the years that I've read, that revolve around horses, and to this day, I love anything to do with horses. in all walks of life, whatever they're doing. And I know there's an ongoing problem in Niagara on the Lake, down here in Niagara. Niagara on the Lake is to the east of me, about 15 minutes down the Queenie, and of course the horse-drawn carriages in Niagara on the Lake, and these activists that are trying to cause such an uproar all the time about the horses, and thinking that they're in such dire condition, and they're not treated properly, and they hate what they do, and all of this. And as far as I'm concerned, I have been down there multiple times. I've ridden the carriages. I've spoken with the horses. I have pat the horses and spoken to the drivers, and I can see for myself, and this is in the winter or all seasons of the year, those horses are put, their welfare is put first and foremost before the drivers. And these horses are well cared for, they're well maintained, they are not put in harm's way, they are not mistreated in any way, there is no animal abuse whatsoever, and a horse has to feel needed. They're like a human being in that respect. If they don't feel that they can be of use, or that they have nothing to contribute or give, and they're just pushed aside and put out in the pasture and just, not given any attention, not given any love or interaction with humans, that if that happens, then that is abuse. And so I wish that these activists that are down there carrying their placards and causing such uproar, if they would research and learn about horses, it would be the best thing that they could possibly do. But I'm hoping that that happens with them. I mean, when it comes to animal abuse, I would be the first in line to call somebody out and call somebody down and report somebody if I saw an animal being abused. It's the same as a child. They can't fight back. They take it because they have no choice. And but when these animals are being treated properly, and they feel their self-worth and that they are contributing, and in return they're getting affection and they're getting that rapport from people, then to criticize that and try to find fault with that, I just think these people live a very sad, unfulfilled life, and I wish they would change their course, and so I'm almost to the 30-minute mark here, and I wanted to come today and do a short video and talk to you all and touch base with you and keep you up to date with what's happening with Return to Autumn Part 2 and its release coming next month, and just where we're at right now in the production of it. And I've just recently got a couple of new reviews in for both Perils of Autumn and Return to Autumn Part 1. And again, 5-star reviews. Thank you so much. You know who you are that did the reviews. And I'm hoping that these reviews will help prospective readers to take a chance on Rusty Blackwood's work and get yourself a copy and enjoy it. And I hope to hear from you. If you read my work and you enjoy my work, then I hope that you will let me know, and you will comment, and you will write me. Go to my official website, rusty-blackwood.com, and you can see all the information you need to learn how you can contact me, and I will reply. I guarantee you that, and I always make it a point to reply to whomever writes to me, whatever. If you've got questions, or you have comments that opinions that you would like to give, and things, everything is welcome. So please like this video and share it on, and comment it, please, if you would, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel and join those who already have. And whenever I do a video, you'll get notification of a new video available, and you can come and check it out. And I hope you stay through to the end, but if not, I still thank you for tuning in. So God's blessings to each of you, and I'll be back again soon. If not before Easter, definitely on Easter, and so we'll catch up then. So thanks so much. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy Ostara, and enjoy the beautiful spring that is opening all around us. Bye-bye for now.